Alright, so just coming to a seated position, somewhere comfy, and just gently closing down the eyes. Just starting to feel that balance, equal balance on both sides of the body. We'll take a nice deep breath in through the nostrils, gathering up any tension, any stress, holding it at the top of the lungs, and then opening the mouth and letting it all go. And again, a nice big breath in through the nostril, holding the breath and sighing it out. And one more big deep breath in, holding, and then letting it all go. And just start to feel the body arriving here. Feel the body start to soften. Notice all of the tension start to drop away, starting at the head. And then feel the shoulders start to draw downwards. And perhaps just roll those shoulders back and down, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. And then notice the whole torso start to become heavy, drawing down towards the ground. Notice any tension in the hips. And consciously try to let it go. And just notice that both sides of the body feel balanced and equal. And as you sit here, taking this moment of silence, just start to notice the breath at the nostrils. Just our natural breath. Feeling that soft sensation as the breath sweeps in and out of the nostrils. Perhaps that slight coolness on the inhalation and slight warmth on the exhalation. Whatever the sensation is for you, just observing the breath as it enters and exits at the nostrils. And now become aware of any sounds around you as we become present in the here and now. Noticing any sounds outside the room. Anything that is happening on this Saturday morning in Melbourne. And then just drawing that awareness slightly closer into the room. Listening, observing. It may even be the soft hum of a heater. Anything happening in the room around you in this moment. And then let's draw our focus in to sounds within the body. Noticing if you can hear anything from within the body. Or even the sensation of the heart beating. Just really drawing our awareness to within. And from this place of deep internal conscious awareness, let's scan the physical body Noticing any areas of tension, any areas of pain or warmth. Again, without judgment, just observing and becoming aware of any areas of the physical body that need healing or additional focus today. And now let's take our attention to the mind. Awareness of how it's feeling in this moment. Is it distracted? Is it busy? Or does it feel calm this morning? Are there things to do lists going around in the mind? Again, we're not trying to change it, we're just being aware. And now let's draw our attention to any emotions we're feeling this morning. Have we woken up full of happiness and gratitude? Or is there something that's just not sitting comfortably with us today? We're currently sitting in a time of the new moon. We've got a new moon tomorrow, and it comes together at the same time as a solar eclipse, at the same time as our winter solstice, our shortest, darkest day of the year. So these days just prior to and just after this new moon are a great time for us to reflect deeply. And as it's a dark moon, a great time to really reflect on our shadow self. All of the things that sit a little uneasy with us. I encourage you as we work through the class to consider things that fill us with fear, with guilt, with shame, all of that dark side of ourselves, and try and create the space to reflect on why they bring up these emotions. Often it's old behaviours or things that our parents or teachers or friends told us when we were younger. If we can identify why we have these dark emotions of fear, shame and guilt, we're able to set intentions to move through them and put them aside. New moon is the perfect time to set new intentions, so I'll encourage you at the end of class to journal, to write, to start to plant the seeds of what you want for this new cycle. We're at the darkest point of the year, an opportunity to regrow, to reinvent ourselves starting in this coming week. Let's just take a nice big deep breath in together, drawing up all of those thoughts, all of those emotions. One more big deep breath out through the mouth, letting them go. Bring the hands together in prayer, thumbs pressing against the heart space. And we'll open the practice with 3 rounds of Om together. Deep breath in. Swaha Tatsaviturvadenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodaya. bring those hands gently down to the knees. You guys know the drill. We'll drop right ear to right shoulder, eyes closed, and just gently start to rotate that neck. Noticing any tension there this morning. We keep our eyes closed to deepen our personal experience. Really trying to connect the mind, body and spirit in yoga. And gently back the other way. So the physical movement helps to slow down and control the mind. And when the mind is slowed down and controlled, we can really tap in to listen to our deep, soulful self. Bring back up to the center, and we'll do our big suffy rolls, right shoulder forward. Nice big rotations of the spine. Feeling into whatever you need this morning. One side might feel a little more tender than the other. Just giving the body what it needs. And slowly back the other way. Starting to awaken the spine, move some of that energy up and down the spine. And coming back to the center. Some seated cat-cows here, so drawing the chest forward and then drawing it back towards the spine, forward and back. Feeling the heart open on the forward movement, reflecting inwards on the backward movement. After your next backward movement, just coming back up to center, we'll bring the fingertips down to the floor, hands coming into prayer at the heart space, clasp the fingers, draw the palms away, pushing the hands and curving through that spine. A nice big deep stretch upwards, looking up at the hands, opening a little through that throat chakra, and then releasing the hands down to the floor. We'll walk the right hand away from us, left buttocks firmly on the floor, left arm up in the air, and we'll look up towards the armpit of that left arm, starting to open through the left side body. A big lateral stretch, releasing anything we've been holding on to here. And then gently coming back to center. Moving on to the other side, left fingers walking away, right arm up and open, right hip drawing downwards. Feeling that opening and extension between the hip and the armpit. And then slowly coming back to center. Right hand behind the right buttock, long straight spine, before we cross the left hand onto the right knee and turn and look over that right shoulder. Feeling the length in the spine. It's almost like somebody's got that rope tied to the crown of the head, drawing you upwards, twisting. We're wringing out anything in the spine that we don't need to hold on to. And then softly coming back to the center, over to the other side. Lengthening first, then turning. Just gently starting to manipulate the spine in every possible direction. There's nowhere for worries and tension to hide. Giving it every opportunity to release and coming back to center. Both hands on the floor behind you. We'll bring the feet just out in front of us, hip distance apart. And we're going to lift the buttocks up off the floor. Option to just look here at the belly or drop the head back and create a nice opening across the chest. Squeezing the buttocks, pushing into the floor with the soles of the feet. Nice opening through the chest. And then gently lowering the buttocks back down. Legs out in front. big stretch upwards, and then a gentle leaning forward once you get to that sweet spot, that place of some sort of comfort, just allowing ourselves to soften. Spine to round, shoulders to round, head to drop downwards. No need to over straighten the knees. Feel free to have a little bend here. We're just gently starting to open up the entire back body here. All the way from the heels, up through the calves and the hamstrings, up over the buttocks, both sides of the spine, all the way up through the back, through the shoulders, down the arms, and all the way to the fingertips. Gently releasing any tension through the back body. And at the same time, as we sit here, looking inwards, taking a moment to discover some of those shadow sides of ourselves. Noticing anything that's coming up for you, but not dwelling on it, just awareness of it. And take 4 more breaths here. And then when you're ready, just gently releasing any hold you might have, slowly bringing yourself back upright. We'll move into cat-cow, so let's come up into tabletop on all fours. Check our alignment, shoulders stacked over wrists, hips over knees, knees hip distance apart. And we'll drop the belly, bring the chest and heart forward. And then we'll tuck the tailbone, curve that spine, tuck the chin in towards the chest. And again, drop the belly forward. And then curve the spine, tucking the tailbone. Just moving at your own pace, closing those eyes, adjusting any way you'd like to here. You might go a little deeper on one of the movements than the other. You might feel like putting a bit of pace into it, whatever feels good, just moving that spine forwards and backwards. We're curving, we're reshaping, we're releasing. And adding the breath, we're breathing in on the forward movement, out on the curving in movement. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, we might like to add that freestyle hip, so just any way that feels good. Swinging the hips from side to side, maybe drawing back if that's what your body needs, perhaps leaning forward, just moving intuitively, allowing the body to guide you. And then when you're ready, coming back up to tabletop, we'll tuck the toes under, just walk the hands a half a palm's length in front. Tuck those toes, let's hover the knees, push the hands away from us as we start to come up into our first downward dog of the day. So long, straight arms, shoulders are strong, the armpits drawing outwards, head is soft, so just give it a little yes, no, nod and shake. Make sure there's no tension in the neck. Long, straight spine, hips drawing up and back. And then from here we can start to slowly straighten the knees, and we'll walk the dog one heel up, one heel down. Starting to create length and strength in the upper body here. Feel free to add a little bit of hip movement if that feels good. You want to swing a little from side to side. Feel free to do all of that. And then let's take a nice wide-legged dog. So walk the feet out to the outside, the outer edges of our mat, and a little bit up towards the head. Enough so we can try and draw those heels down to the floor. pushing the hands away from us, creating that length in the spine. And just taking a couple of breaths here, feeling that nice stretch up the backs of the legs, calf muscles. Checking there's no tension in the neck. We've got a couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, walk the feet back into our normal hip distance apart downward dog. And we're going to drop the knees to the outer edges of the mat. Feet come to touch. And we'll draw back into pose of the child. So just allowing the heart to draw downwards. Allowing the shoulders to open up as the arms draw forwards. Placing the forehead down on the mat. Feel free to give it a little massage, a roll from side to side. And just take a moment here in this posture of deep surrender. Surrendering to what has been in this last cycle of the moon. Everything that's gone on in this last cycle of the moon, and acknowledging that there's a new beginning. Reflecting perhaps on things like relationships, friendships, and even the contribution you make to society. This new moon is in Cancer, and Cancer is all about our homes, our surroundings, our communities, our society, and our relationships. So just reflecting as we sit in pose of the child, deeply surrendered, reflecting on what you want to do better in this next moon cycle. We can really delve deeply into our shadow self here. Things within our contribution to society, our friendships, our close relationships. What's coming up for you around those shadow emotions of fear, guilt and shame? And what can you do to put them aside as we move back towards the light, back towards the full moon? Surrendering to whatever comes up here. We'll be here for 5 more breaths, just giving you a moment to see what comes up. And then when you're ready, we're going to slowly bring ourselves back up to tabletop. And we're going to thread the needle. So we'll take the left hand to begin with, opening up to the new beginnings. And then we're going to thread the needle between the right arm, left leg, twisting and releasing. Breathing in as we open up, and breathing out as we turn to the right and release. Breathing in those new beginnings. Breathing out and releasing. One more big breath in, opening up. Breathing out. And this time we'll place that left shoulder down on the floor, the back of the left hand on the floor, cheek on the floor if possible. Option here is to press into that right hand and extend the right leg out to the side. And then even if you haven't done that, you can also bring that right arm up and over, placing it on the left hip and drawing the right shoulder open. So we're really twisting here. Opening through that chest, through the heart space. Turning to the new beginnings, turning and looking at what's coming for you. Couple of breaths. And then let's release that right hand, bring it back down, place it beside the face. Draw the right foot in to meet the left knee and press into the right hand as we come back up to our neutral spine tabletop. And now let's move on to the other side. Right arm opens up, looking up at the hand. Threading the needle, looking over to the left. Breathing in, opening to the right. Breathing out, turning to the left. Breathing in, opening up through that heart. Breathing out to the left. One more big breath in, a nice twist in the spine. Breathing out this time, place that right shoulder on the ground. Take that left hand, place it beside the face, extend the left leg out to the side. And again, if it's available, left arm up and over. Place it on the right hip, really opening up through that heart space, drawing the left shoulder open and back. Couple of breaths. Let's release that left arm, placing it on the floor beside the face. Draw the left knee in, and we're back up to tabletop. We'll come down onto the belly now. Gently lowering ourselves down to the floor, arms out in front of us, feet are together, forehead down on the mat. We're going to gently lift the right arm and left leg and just create opposite arm, opposite leg, a little curve through the spine here. And softly lower down to the ground, forehead back down on the mat. Other side, left arm, right leg. Taking a couple of breaths and slowly, slowly releasing. And again, right side, right arm, left leg. Continue to breathe. And softly lowering to the ground, other side, left arm, right leg. And down to the ground. Now I just want you to draw the feet up towards the buttocks. We're going to bring the hands around to take hold of the ankles or the feet. If this is available to you, if this is really uncomfortable, it might actually be that this is enough for you. But otherwise we want to start to open up that chest, lift the chest, lift the knees and create a bow type of shape here. So drawing the legs up, the feet are pulling the arms back and the chest, a nice big curve in the spine. And dropping yourself back down to the floor. Let's bring the hands underneath the face and just place the right cheek on the hands. Coming to rest. Noticing the movement, these back bends really create release, and you might feel the energy almost gushing through the body. Just taking a moment of rest. And then turning to the left cheek on the hands, balancing both sides. And then coming back to the center, we'll just bring the hands in under the chest. Bring ourselves back up onto all fours, and we're just going to move into melting heart. So we keep the bottom and the hips directly over the knees, and we walk the hands forward. Walk them forward until you can start to get the forearms down towards the ground. You might like to bring the hands into prayer position. We want that sensation of the heart melting downwards, so as far down as you can get that heart. Forehead can be on the mat, and then if it's available to you, you can bring the hands up over the head like this. And if it's not available to you, just feel free to use the lower arms to help anchor you downwards. You may even find the forehead's too uncomfortable and you might want to rest on the chin, but the idea is we've got that heart melting downwards here. connecting with the breath and starting to connect with your sensation and your experience with the heart today. What's sitting in your heart? What's bringing you happiness and love right now? And what's bringing you sadness? Observing both sides, both the shadow and the light. We've got 4 more breaths. And then gently bringing yourself back upright, walking the hands in. And we're going to come to sit. Come cross-legged. Just bring those arms around to the back. Clasp the hands and really open up through that heart. Draw the chin forward and up. Nice big opening through the shoulders. And we're going to just gently bow forward. Draw those arms up and over as far as you feel comfortable. Just really opening up through the shoulders and the heart. And then slowly, slowly coming back upright. Bring the soles of the feet together. We'll start in butterfly pose, so the heels are up towards the torso. The soles of the feet are together, long straight spine. And we're just going to walk those hands gently forward. Feel free to either have palms up or palms down, whatever feels like you can get some sort of grip or anchor here. And then just slowly curve that spine, allow the head to draw downwards. We're coming into some of the more longer holds here, so just try to find that sweet spot for you. Try to find somewhere that you can come to some sort of stillness. And when you do arrive, just check that you're not holding on anywhere. Do that scan of the neck and the shoulders. We often hold tension here. And then of course we're working into the hips, so just noticing if you're squeezing through the buttocks or holding on in the hips. And consciously trying to let go. If it feels difficult, just start using the breath. So breathing in through the nostrils, deep sighs out through the mouth will help us to release. And then just finding that stillness here. We're going to be here for about another minute. And the longer we hold, the more our brain trusts and the more it allows us to release deeper into these postures. Of course, we're in a forward fold, another opportunity to reflect. Reflect on this new moon in Cancer. Reflect on the intentions we want to set ourselves for the wonderful new beginning we're about to face. An opportunity to put behind us all of those outdated thought patterns and belief systems, creating our own. We've got 8 more long, deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, just placing the palms of the hands down on the floor and gently pressing into the palms as we walk our way back up to an upright position. We'll bring the legs out nice and wide now. If it feels like you're tipping back too much, you might like to just put a cushion underneath the buttocks to tip yourself a little bit further forward. But if not, just that nice long straight spine, and we're going to do a very similar thing to what we just did. Walk the hands forward. Again, palms up or palms down, whatever feels better for you. The feet are relaxed, so they don't need to be flexed or they don't need to be pointed, just whatever feels comfy. You want to feel that nice big stretch up through the inner leg here. It's great for the liver meridians and helping us to detoxify, to release. And you might like to do a little wriggle to just get yourself comfy. We want to be on no more than a 5 out of 10 for some sort of pain here. In fact, ideally a 4 out of 10. We're not overstraining. We're just getting into a position that really starts to give us the opportunity to lengthen, extend, open. And again, as we do in all of these yin postures, quick scan to check we're not holding on. And then it's time to find that stillness. When we find stillness, we're trying to create space between our emotions and our reactions. Normally the mind, when it's in its controlling space, gets us to react, and that gives us a whole lot of problems. What we're trying to do is create the space if something comes up that triggers us. And we want to observe that it's triggered us. We even want to observe perhaps why it's triggered us at some point. But we want to find that space so that we can react without upsetting others, without upsetting ourselves, without holding on to things that really don't matter in the scheme of it all. So as we try to find stillness in these yin poses, it's all about creating free space, stopping the mind from being in control and allowing our soul to be driving the car. We've got 5 more long deep breaths. Just gently starting to draw yourself out of the posture. Coming back up to an upright position. Might use the hands to bring the knees back in. We'll just drop the hands behind and do our little windscreen wipers here. We started our class really working on opening through the heart and the chest and the shoulders. And now is everyone's favourite, the hips. Lots of emotion held here, so important that at this time we work through. So we'll have an extended left leg, right foot comes up to the inside thigh here, long straight spine, and we'll start to walk our hand forward either side of that left foot, that left leg, wherever is comfortable for you to hold on to. And again, once we arrive, you might feel a nice drawing up through that right side hip. That's what we're trying to get a little bit of a stretch through there. Again, once you arrive, just allow yourself to soften in. Allow the heart to draw forward and down. The shoulders can be rounded. The head can just be anywhere that feels comfortable. Should be feeling a nice extension up the back of that left leg, but also starting to stretch that lower right hip lower back. A little bit of a stretch through there as well. Softness, release, surrender. Acceptance of what is, just is. Four more breaths. And then gently releasing. And we'll swap over to the other side. So extending the right leg forward, left foot into the inside of that right thigh, long straight spine, walking the hands forward. Again, just noticing if this side feels a little different. It's okay, it might be that you can't extend as far on one side. Just finding that sweet spot again. Just ensuring that the body is turned over that leg as much as it can be. And again, softening in. Being gentle with yourself. Respecting yourself for wherever you're at right now. And just knowing it's part of our journey. Finding that stillness. And noticing anything that's coming up. As I said, I'll encourage you to journal after the class. Don't dwell on anything, don't connect with it, just awareness. Something that you can investigate further after we're finished. Four more breaths. And then just gently, gently start to release your way back to upright. So it's going to be a bit of a funny transition, but we're going to leave that left leg out to the side there. And if you've got the space, which I haven't, so I'm just going to turn to this way. If you've got the space, we're going to swing that leg that's at the front around to the back, and we're going to come up into everyone's favourite pigeon. So the left leg is bent and we want to leave that there. The right leg swings around. And then we're going to come up onto the fingertips here. We're going to balance both hips out. So your left legs onto here. Balancing both hips out, so we want them to be parallel to each other. Up onto the fingertips. And then we're going to slowly, slowly start to soften our way down as far as we can. If you can draw the head down onto the hands, do that. Back leg is long and straight. Just keep checking that those hips are parallel to the floor. And find some form of surrender here. This is our peak posture in terms of really getting into the hips. And of course, our hips are the place that we often hold the deepest emotions, the darkest shadow thoughts, all of the stuff that I encourage you to look at over these next couple of days. Consider our shadow selves. Using the breath, if it feels intense, breathing in through the nose and sighing out through the mouth. be here for about another 30 seconds. So try to control the mind, try and create that space. Notice that when I said another 30 seconds, your immediate trigger or response. I want to create that space before we react. Five more breaths. Let's start by using the hands to press into the floor, dropping onto that left hip as we just release it a little. And then let's do our windscreen wipers, so bringing both feet in to be parallel to one another. Let's just give it that little rotation. Noticing how that left hip feels versus the right. And when you're ready, we'll drop the knees over to the right side, and from here, get that right knee or that right foot into position, extend the left leg out to the back. Probably not the best transition, but I think you guys know what you're doing. So then we'll come up onto the fingertips, get those hips parallel to the floor, get the balance, and then let's walk the hands forward gently. Draw the heart downwards, draw the head down. Finding the surrender again. And let's just begin by observing the difference on this side compared to the other side. Again, not judging, just observing, is one feeling a little more tense and tight than the other. Remembering the breath. Use that deep exhalation to help manage the intensity you might be feeling. Softness, releasing. Awareness of anything coming up for you. Even if it's just your reaction to this posture, there's great learnings in our yoga classes about whether we like being told what to do or what not to do, whether we like structure or don't like structure, whether we think we know better than others. All of that stuff can come up through a simple yoga class. We've got 5 more deep breaths. Releasing in any way that feels good, bringing the body back upright, dropping onto that right hip. Let's do our final windscreen wiper. Nice little rotation of the hips. And then let's come down onto the back. Coming down onto the back. Just getting the body centered on the mat. Both feet up towards the buttocks, just hip distance apart. And let's just take that right knee, cross it over the left knee. Arms out to the side in a T shape. And we're going to drop, you might like to move the hips slightly to the right of the center of your mat and drop both knees over to the left side. Option to stay here, or you might turn and look at that right hand. You may also take that left hand and place it on top of the right knee if you want a little more intensity in this twist. We're going to hold here for a minute or so. So try to find that same yin softness in this posture. We want to give the spine time to move into this twist. The work we do on warming up the spine is often just releasing things that are more in the surface crevices of the spine. But when we take the time in these long, slow poses, in these twists, we do really get into all of the areas that need deep healing, deep releasing. Being soft with yourself and being kind here. And just an awareness of this moment, noticing everything about you right now on a Saturday in June in Melbourne, considering all that brought you to this very moment and knowing that you are exactly where you need to be and that everything is amazing. Just releasing any hold you might have on that knee, allowing both knees to come back to the center and just draw that right foot down. Just reset the body, centering it and preparing to move on to the other side. So left knee over right. You may move the hips slightly to the left and drop both knees to the right side of the mat. Turn and look at that left hand. Knees both being drawn down. You can use the right hand for a little extra leverage. Closing the eyes, the heart is open. It's time for new beginnings, new opportunities. This dark moon, this new moon is the end of a cycle. In fact, the winter solstice is the end of a whole year's cycle, our darkest day, our shortest day, our longest night. And from 4:40 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, as we just reach that point, we start to move to lightness again. Knowing that this is a time for us to plant those seeds of intention and to have particular focus on relationships, friendships, community, and our own contribution to society. Just releasing that hand, drawing both knees back up to the center. And let's just draw the knees into the chest. A little hug here, perhaps a little rock from side to side. And then releasing ourselves, ready to move into Shavasana. So legs slightly apart, body is centered on the mat, arms slightly away from the body and palms facing up. Eyes are gently closed. You might like to take a nice deep breath in, sigh it out through the mouth. And just allow this time for all of the magic of yoga to happen. We've stirred up a lot of things this morning, not just the physical aspect, not just the energetic aspect. Lots to consider on an emotional level. and an amazing opportunity to do it in this time of the new moon. And as we lie here, deeply released, no tension anywhere in the body. As we lie here, we start to consider our intentions, our what's next. A great opportunity for us to put behind us all of the stuff, all of the shadow stuff, and start to move into light. Just feeling the body heavy against the mat. Perhaps even an awareness of physical changes since we started the class. You might even feel on an energetic level a buzz or a vibration or a warmth in certain parts of the body. And if you do, just know that the body intuitively is working, healing on those parts. Now let's just bring our awareness to the mind. Any changes since we started class. And then our emotions. If we were feeling a bit stuck in any of our emotions, noticing if you feel like there's a way forward as we start this new phase of the moon. Let's gently wriggle the fingers and the toes, bringing that movement back into our body. A big stretch, arms up above the head, pointing the toes, long straight spine. And then another hug with the knees in at the chest, rounding that spine. You might even draw the head up a little bit towards the knees, creating a lovely curve. And then we'll drop to one side, taking a final resting pose here. And when you are ready, just gently pushing into the ground, drawing yourself back up to seated. Closing down the eyes, palms face down on the knees as we ground ourselves. Grounding ourselves back into this moment. Grounding ourselves back into the reality of our day, the reality of our life. But knowing that at any time we can take that time for ourselves to turn inwards, to listen deeply, to help us to know where to move to next. Know that we are entering a time to refresh our mindset and make us feel more focused on where we're headed. I encourage you to journal after this class. Start to write down anything you want to work on as we move towards the light. Hands together in prayer, thumbs pressing against the heart space. We'll end with a final round of Om together. Deep breath in. The divine spark in me honors the divine spark in you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Linda. That was good.